All right, you bastards. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep into the world of Google Nest. You know those smart devices that are supposed to make your life easier, but probably just end up spying on you. I'm skeptical as hell about this shit. But hopefully our expert can shed some light on whether this stuff is actually useful. Or just another way for big tech to invade our privacy.
Well, let's unpack this, shall we? The origin story of Nest is actually quite interesting. It all started with Tony Fadell, an ex-Apple engineer. Picture this. Fadell's building his dream vacation home, probably some fancy-ass mansion in Tahoe, and he's getting increasingly pissed off with the clunky, outdated thermostats on the market.
Wait, so this whole Google Nest empire started because some tech bro couldn't figure out how to adjust the temperature in his second home. Sounds kind of ridiculous, doesn't it?
Well, you got to give Fadell credit for seeing an opportunity. He was frustrated with the existing technology, so he decided to create something better. He co-founded Nest with another ex-Apple engineer, Matt Rogers, and they set out to revolutionize the way we interact with our homes.
Okay, that's a slick origin story. But let's cut the crap. They were Apple guys, right? Those dudes are all about sleek design.
Yeah.
And making you feel like you're living in a futuristic spaceship. Was that their whole pitch for Nest? Hey, let's make thermostats sexy.
To some extent, yeah. They brought that Apple design aesthetic to Nest. Their first product, the Nest Learning Thermostat, was a radical departure from the clunky beige thermostats we were all used to. It was sleek, minimalist, and had this intuitive interface that made it a joy to use.
Okay, I'll admit, the Nest thermostat is a pretty damn good-looking gadget. But how the hell does this thing actually learn? Does it have some kind of AI brain?
Yeah.
That's secretly judging my temperature preferences.
It's not judging you, but it is collecting data. It uses a machine learning algorithm to track your adjustments and figure out your preferred temperatures and schedule. So for the first few weeks, you manually adjust the temperature to your liking, the Nest thermostat observes your behavior, and eventually starts anticipating your needs.
So it's like a creepy stalker, but for your ideal room temperature. Sounds a little bit Black Mirror to me.
Well, it's all about automation and convenience, right? The idea is that the Nest thermostat will eventually learn your habits so well that you don't even have to think about adjusting the temperature. It just happens automatically, creating a perfectly comfortable environment for you.
It sounds good in theory, but what about when it goes wrong? I've heard horror stories about these smart thermostats malfunctioning and leaving people freezing their asses off in the middle of winter.
There have been a few hiccups along the way. In 2016, a software update caused some Nest thermostats to malfunction, which was a major PR disaster for the company. Imagine waking up to a freezing house because your smart thermostat decided to take a nap.
Yeah, that's fucked up. It's like, thanks for turning my home into an icebox, Google. Okay, so they nailed the thermostat game.
Yeah.
At least aesthetically. But when did Google decide to gobble up this whole operation?
It was back in 2014, just a few years after Nest was founded. Google saw the potential of the smart home market and decided to acquire Nest for a whopping $3.2 billion.
Jesus Christ. $3.2 billion. Was that like pocket change for Google at that point?
It wasn't pocket change, but Google definitely had the cash to spare. It shows you how serious they were about getting into the smart home game. Initially, they took a hands-off approach, letting Nest operate as a separate subsidiary under Alphabet Inc., which is Google's parent company.
So they let them run wild for a bit. Any juicy corporate drama we should know about? Any boardroom brawls or backstabbing executives?
Well, there were definitely some growing pains. In 2018, Nest's CEO stepped down, and the company was fully merged into Google's hardware division.
Ah, the classic corporate shakeup. Sounds like someone got a little too big for their britches. All right, so besides fancy thermostats, what other gadgets did Nest dream up?
They expanded their product line pretty aggressively, creating a whole ecosystem of smart home devices, smoke detectors, security cameras, doorbells, even a whole home security system.
So they basically wanted to control every aspect of your home. Talk about an ambitious power grab. All right, let's break down some of these gadgets. First up, the Nest Protect. Smoke detectors, right? Pretty basic stuff.
Not so basic, actually. The Nest Protect is a combination smoke and carbon monoxide detector. That's designed to be more intuitive and user-friendly than traditional detectors. It has a voice alarm that tells you what's wrong and where the problem is, which can be a lifesaver in a panic situation.
Okay, that's kind of cool. But didn't these things have some major issue a while back? Something about a recall?
You're right. In 2014, Nest had to recall about 440,000 Nest Protect units because there was a design flaw that could cause the alarm to be accidentally disabled.
Wait, hold the phone. You're telling me their smoke detectors could potentially fail to detect smoke? That's fucked up. Talk about a major safety hazard.
It was a serious issue, and Nest took a lot of flack for it. They eventually fixed the problem and issued a software update, but it definitely damaged their reputation.
Yeah, I bet it did. It's like,
Hey,
hey, we're going to make your home smarter, but also potentially more likely to burn down. Not exactly a winning marketing strategy.
yeah.
Okay, so they had some issues with their smoke detectors. What else did they screw up? Didn't they make cameras too?
Yes, they acquired a company called Dropcam in 2014 and rebranded their security cameras as Nest Cam. They started offering both indoor and outdoor models, giving people the ability to monitor their homes remotely.
All right, so now we're talking about surveillance. Let's
Okay.
be real. Can Google spy on you through these Nest cams? I'm not exactly thrilled about the idea of Big Brother watching my every move.
Privacy concerns are definitely valid. There were reports of security flaws in Nest Cams back in 2017 that could have allowed hackers to access the camera feed. Imagine some creep watching you through your own security camera. That's some real nightmare fuel.
See? That's what I'm talking about. It's one thing for your thermostat to learn your schedule, but having your camera hacked is a whole other level of creepy. It's like something out of a horror movie.
Nest has since addressed those security flaws, but the potential for privacy breaches always exists with connected devices. It's a trade-off you have to consider when you're inviting this technology into your home.
Yeah, it's like a deal with the devil. You get convenience and cool features, but you're potentially sacrificing your privacy in the process. Okay, so we've covered thermostats, smoke detectors, and cameras. What about their home security system? Didn't they have some shady shit going on with microphones?
Well, there was a controversy surrounding the Nest Secure system. It turned out there was an undisclosed microphone in the Nest Guard, which is the central hub of the security system.
No way. They slipped a mic in there without telling anyone. What the hell were they thinking? Were they just hoping nobody would notice?
Google claimed it was an accidental omission and that the microphone was intended for future features. They said they planned to use it for things like voice control and emergency calling.
Yeah, right. Accidental omission. That's some top-notch bullshit. Sounds like they were trying to pull a fast one on their customers.
It definitely raised some eyebrows and fueled concerns about Google's data collection practices.
No kidding.
Yeah.
This whole thing is starting to sound like a dystopian sci-fi novel. All right, before we go full-blown conspiracy theory here, let's take a step back and ask our listeners, which Nest products have you guys tried? Are you cool with Google potentially knowing every detail of your life? Or are you starting to feel a little creeped out?
It's a valid question. As smart home technology becomes more prevalent, the lines between convenience and privacy are definitely getting blurry. We're essentially inviting these companies into our most private spaces, and it's crucial to think about what we're giving up in exchange for a bit of ease and coolness.
Yeah, it's a trade-off, for
Yeah.
sure. And sometimes it feels like we're sleepwalking into this surveillance state without even realizing it. But hey, let's not get too deep into the philosophical shit. We've got more gadgets to dissect. What about that Works with Nest program I keep hearing about? Didn't Google fuck that up somehow?
Oh yeah, that was a whole saga. Works with Nest was initially designed as an open ecosystem, allowing third-party devices to interact with Nest products. You could control your Nest thermostat using your Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant, for example. It was all about creating this interconnected web of smart devices that would seamlessly work together.
Sounds pretty utopian, right? So what the hell happened? Why did Google pull the plug on this kumbaya shit?
Well, in 2019, Google decided to scrap Works with Nest and force everyone to migrate to Google Assistant. They claimed it was for security and privacy reasons. You know, gotta protect those precious user data.
Security and privacy, my ass.
Yeah.
They just wanted to lock everyone into their ecosystem. Classic Google move, right? Build something open and collaborative, then
Yeah.
snatch it away once they've got enough users hooked.
Well, it definitely raised concerns about vendor lock-in, where you're essentially trapped using only Google products, and it pissed off a lot of users who had invested in devices that were compatible with Works with Nest. Imagine having your smart home suddenly become a lot less smart because Google decided to change the rules.
Talk about a bait and switch. So what happened to all those devices that used to work with Nest? Did they just become useless bricks?
Some companies were able to scramble and integrate with Google Assistant, but others were left in the lurch. Lutron and SimpleSafe, which are pretty big names in the smart home world, lost some of their integration capabilities. It was a messy transition, to say the least.
Sounds like a total clusterfuck. Google basically screwed over a bunch of companies and their customers. But hey, that's big tech for you, right? Always looking out for number one. All right, let's move on to some other Nest products. What about their smart doorbell?
The Nest Hello. That shit seems pretty standard, right? You can see who's at the door, even when you're not home.
Yeah, the Nest Hello which was later rebranded as Nest Doorbell. Does the basic stuff. You can see and talk to visitors, even if you're halfway across the world. But it also has some more advanced features, like facial recognition.
Hold up. Facial recognition. So this doorbell is scanning everyone who comes to my door. Isn't that a bit creepy? I mean, I don't want my doorbell judging my friends' faces. It definitely raises privacy concerns, especially since facial recognition technology is still not perfect. There's always the potential for misidentification or misuse of that data. Imagine getting a notification that your mother-in-law is at the door when it's actually just some random dude with a similar haircut. Awkward.
Yeah, that's fucked up. And it's not just about awkwardness. This technology has the potential to be used for some seriously shady shit. We've already seen how facial recognition can be used for surveillance and profiling.
You're right, it's a powerful technology with both positive and negative implications. It can be used to enhance security, but it can also be used to invade privacy and discriminate against certain groups.
It's a slippery slope, man, and it seems like Google's always right there on the edge, pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable. Okay, what about their smart locks? They partnered with Yale on those, right? No more fumbling with keys after a night of heavy drinking.
Yeah, the Nest Yale lock is a pretty slick gadget. You can lock and unlock your door remotely using your phone. Or you can use a keypad to enter a code. So even if your phone dies, you're not screwed.
That's a relief. I've had enough drunken misadventures with lost keys. But speaking of things getting lost, what happened to the Nest Secure system? Didn't that shit get discontinued? Was it because of that microphone scandal?
You're right. Google discontinued Nest Secure in 2020. It's hard to say for sure why they pulled the plug. Maybe it wasn't selling well, maybe there were too many security flaws, or maybe they just decided to focus on other products.
It's kind of ironic, right? A security system called Nest Secure gets canned because it's not secure enough. Makes you wonder what the hell they were thinking. Okay, let's get back to the cameras. Didn't they have one that could zoom in and follow you around? Talk about creepy as hell.
You're probably thinking of the Nest Cam IQ, which had this feature called close-up tracking view. It would automatically zoom in and follow any movement it detected.
Dude, that's some next-level surveillance shit. It's like having your own personal stalker living inside your camera. I can just imagine this thing zooming in on me while I'm walking around in my underwear.
Well, the idea was to provide more detailed footage of any potential intruders. But yeah, it could be seen as pretty invasive. It's like, hey, I just want to make sure no one's breaking into my house, but I also want to be able to zoom in on their pores.
Too much information, man. Too much information. Maybe they realized it was a bit too creepy even for Google. So what cameras are they selling now? Did they ditch the whole stalker cam vibe?
In 2021, Google launched a new line of Nest Cams. They have a more streamlined design and come in both wired and battery-powered versions. They still have a lot of cool features, like motion detection and night vision, but thankfully they've toned down the whole zoom and stalk aspect.
All right, so they're still in the surveillance game, but maybe they've learned a few lessons about boundaries. What about their routers? They had one called Nest Wi-Fi Right. Anything interesting about that? Or is it just another boring router?
Nest Wi-Fi is actually pretty cool. It's a mesh Wi-Fi system that's designed to provide strong and reliable internet coverage throughout your home.
Mesh Wi-Fi, huh? Sounds fancy. Does it actually work? Or is it just another marketing gimmick?
It actually works pretty well. It's easy to set up and manage, and it does a good job of eliminating those pesky dead zones in your Wi-Fi coverage. So if you're living in a sprawling mansion with spotty Wi-Fi, Nest Wi-Fi could be your savior.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm tired of losing my connection every time I walk to the other side of my apartment. But hey, listeners, chime in here. Have you tried Nest Wi-Fi? Is it worth the hype? Let us know your thoughts.
We're always interested to hear about your real-world experiences with these smart home gadgets, so don't be shy. Hit us up on social media and tell us what you think.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about thermostats, smoke detectors, cameras, doorbells, security systems, and routers. Basically, Google Nest has infiltrated every nook and cranny of our homes. But the big question is, where do they go from here? What's the next frontier for the smart home? What crazy shit are they cooking up in their secret labs?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What's next for the smart home? I think we're going to see even more integration and automation. Devices will become even more interconnected, anticipating our needs and making decisions for us. It's exciting and a little bit terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, it's like we're on the verge of this sci-fi future where our homes are basically sentient beings. But let's be real, it's not all going to be smooth sailing. We've already seen how these smart devices can go haywire, leaving us freezing our asses off or getting spied on through our own cameras. So what's the takeaway here? Is Google Nest watching us or helping us? Or maybe a bit of both?
It's definitely a bit of both. Nest has created some genuinely innovative products that have made our homes more comfortable, efficient, and secure, but there's no denying the privacy implications. We're giving these companies an unprecedented level of access to our lives, and it's crucial to be aware of the potential risks.
Yeah, it's like a deal with the devil, right? We get all these cool features, but at what cost? So what can we do about it? Are we just supposed to surrender to the all-seeing eye of Google?
We don't have to surrender, but we do need to be informed and make conscious choices about the technology we bring into our homes. Read the privacy policies, adjust the settings, and be mindful of the data you're sharing. Remember, you have a choice.
All right, folks, there you have it, the Google Nest saga, a tale of innovation, ambition, convenience, and maybe just a hint of creepiness. We've covered their meteoric rise, their billion-dollar acquisition, their product triumphs, and their epic fails. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide whether the benefits of the smart home outweigh the risks. So think carefully, choose wisely, and for God's sake, keep an eye on those cameras. Thanks for tuning in to the Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the world of tech gadgets and all the crazy shit that's changing the way we live. Peace out.